Welcome to the Casey Catch Up. This week we talked to Greg Closier from France/California. He's got some great insight on the recent extreme gliss event that involved 5 days back-to-back of SUP downwind foiling. So it was really cool to chat to him about that and what conditions they were exposed to, equipment that was being used, and who was the quickest. We also talk about board design. We talk about the downwind foil runs that he does over in France and what he's done in California. All in all, it's a great chat, and I'm looking forward to sharing this with you guys. I've also just released my new website. The Coach Casey Club is growing, and I'm really excited to get more and more people involved in that. So if you are interested in learning to downwind foil, be sure to hit me up. Go to my website, caseyaus.com, or head to my Instagram and shoot me a question. Thanks, team.
All right, we're back. The Casey Catch Up. We've got Greg Closier from France/California, but permanently France. He's just competed in this awesome event over in France. It was 5 days of downwinding, I think over 60 kilometers. And, everyone was ranked each time, and it looks like a really cool event. So we want to talk to him about that. Greg's also been kind of a downwind foil pioneer. He's got a brand, 52 Foil Co., which have a really nice looking downwind foil board for those that are looking to get your hands on one that's specifically made for downwind foiling. So Greg, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's I've been we met ages ago, but it's been a while since we've spoken, and I've been following your Instagram and all the French downwind foiling going on. So do you want to give us a little bit of a background on how you got into downwind foiling, and start off there?
Yeah, so my name is Greg. I'm from France, but I lived in California for a couple of years, and I was the part of the first generation of stand-up paddler in Europe with Eric Thierrien, and then and I guess I'm a surf instructor. I own a surf school in France. So my main sport is surfing. But where I live in the northwest of France, the waves are not always that great. Like, it's not like Osogor, so it's good for surfing, but it's not the best place. So I guess that's where I moved to stand-up paddling to enjoy more the ocean. And I started stand-up paddle surfing, and then I moved to racing. And that's where I discovered the downwind aspect, like really being in the open ocean. And when you do a downwind, you are pretty much alone in the sea, and you do your own thing. You don't have to compete with to catch a wave. Like, you do your own thing, and I think that's why I really love, like, right away downwinding.
I totally, mate. The downwind stuff, I think, preaching to the choir. I love it as well. It's literally unlimited waves out there and zero crowds. So I totally get it. And sounds like we actually followed a similar path, although I was a little bit behind you in, surfing. I live in the East Coast. The waves aren't great all the time. Went into SUP surfing just because I could get more waves and you don't need as high quality. Went into SUP racing, and then sort of now we've ended up in downwind foiling. So it's like kind of the same idea. We're looking for those uncrowded waves and having the most fun in them.
Yeah, I think we are not the only one. I think a lot of people had the same path. And I started, well, I guess like a lot of people, I started foiling when I saw the video of Kai.
Yeah.
Like, the first one when he was on the Maliko doing the downwind foiling.
Yeah, I was over in Maui at the time, and the Olokai race had just run, and Kai didn't win. And we're like, oh, he's just posted this video. So it's like, it's better than winning any race. He's just literally trump carded us. try this, guys. I'm going to foil down the coast. And it was so cool. Everyone was buzzing. Everyone forgot about the race. And they're just talking about Kaileni, Downwind Foiling.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were like totally obsessed since this video.
Yeah.
And for me, it was, when I saw this, I said right away, okay, I want to do this. But at this time, it was hard to find the foil and everything. Yeah. So I think my first try was on the borrowed kite foil.
Yes.
On the chopped 12.6, just to do the same.
Yeah.
And of course, it didn't work.
Yeah, just because it's a
work
kite
at
foil,
all.
right?
Yeah, it was way too small, and yeah. So that was my first attempt, and I was in France at this time. And then I moved to California in San Clemente, and my friend Cyril Coste, the owner of Takuma.
Yes.
Cyril, he reached me and he said, okay, I need somebody to promote my brand in California, foil brand. It's brand new. And he asked me to do it, like just to try. Mm-hmm. So he sent me a board and foil, everything.
Awesome.
So that was perfect timing. I kind of forgot about foiling because my first experience was so bad that I didn't do it again. And then when he reached me, I said, okay, maybe I should get another chance. Maybe the gear is better now. And
hang on. And can we backtrack? So you cut a 14-foot board down or 12.6 board down, put a kite foil in it, and it didn't work, and you just gave up. You're like, throw it in the bin.
No, well, actually, it was right before summertime. And in summertime, I'm really busy working for my surf school.
Yeah.
So I put this on the side and said, well, we'll see this later. But then in September, after my big season in the surf school, I moved to California.
So you left.
And I moved with my family, my daughter, my wife. So it was kind of a little bit crazy, too much things
toys
to do.
Yeah.
And when I arrived in California, I was so excited. There was like battle of the PPG event, and I was still training for this race. I was obviously enjoying the surf, like surfing lowers and all those good spots. So I kind of put this on the side. But when Cyril, it was a couple months later, I think it was November or December, when he reached me and said, do you know about foiling? I'm pretty sure you will like it. And I said, but I haven't really tried it. He said, I send you the material and the gear, and you just try and you tell me how it is.
So, and this was the original Takuma stuff.
Yeah, he gave me a lot of tips, and actually, so I was living close by to San Onofre.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
And San Onofre is
perfect foil
probably
wave.
one of the best place in the world to foil. And I was at this time, I was pretty much the only one with Dave Bainey from Infinity.
Yes, awesome.
So we started together, like really on the side where nobody could see us.
Yeah.
And
down by the end of the road,
yeah, exactly, between the power plant and the wave where you find all the longboarder.
Yeah,
in San Onofre there is on the south part, it's only for stand-up paddler.
Yes.
Stand-up paddler are not allowed to go north on the better waves. So they have to stay. Yeah, it's a law. Yeah, you have to stay on the south part of the spot.
Yeah.
And actually, it turned out that this part, like further south, is like really, really good for foiling.
So it's SUPs and foilers.
Yeah. Now, pretty much that's what it is now. Like you get the SUP, you get the longboard, then you get the SUP, and then you get the foiler.
Very cool. Yeah. And I've surfed Sano. It's surfed and foiled it. And it's like you said, it's probably up there with one of the better foil waves. Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah. You have waves every day, and it's always glassy. It's never big. It's never.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
seems like it's just always nice little crumbly rollers that reform all the way to the beach. You know.
exactly. Yeah.
Perfect for foiling.
Yeah, and nobody, only foilers. Like,
Yeah.
no surfer, no longboard, nobody.
No worries.
No surf school. Yeah. So,
Yeah. So okay.
yeah.
So that was your surf foiling journey, and on the Takuma gear, what was the original Takuma wing? I don't remember Takuma.
So it was it was named the V100.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even know the size of this foil. I think it was probably something around 1,300 centimeters, something like that. Kind of average, but a lot of curve, like real lot of curve, like compared to what we see now.
Yeah.
So this foil, and it was like really heavy. You know, it was pretty much same time as Nash and GoFoil. It was one of the first brand, like production foil dedicated to surf foiling and stand-up paddle foiling.
Yeah, very cool.
So he has a lot of lift, actually way too much.
Yeah.
So he was kind of bit tricky to learn on, but it was okay. First, I studied on the stand-up, and then Cyril sent me a surfboard, a surf foil. And I found surf was easier with this foil.
Yeah,
it was easier to understand the foil, and yeah, it was better.
Okay, and why do you think that was? Because my experience was almost the opposite. When I was, the original Go foil, the Kai was a pretty thick foil, and it was, it was big. It had a lot of lift, as you said, too much lift. And for me on the stand-up, I felt it was easier to control for me because a bigger board meant I could lean forward more. I had a surfboard retrofitted, with the boxes. I think it was a tuttle box actually. And we because there was rocker in the board, we tried to keep it flat, but we actually went too far. And when I paddled in, it with the angle basically like shimming it gave me extra lift on a foil that already had heaps of lift. So every time I paddled in, I'd paddle into a wave, and before I could get up to my feet, I was getting like, exploded left or right. And I found the prone foiling was way harder personally, because on the sup, I'm already standing up. My feet are in the spot and I could control the lift, whereas prone, not so much. So I'm interested to hear why you found the prone easier than the sup.
I don't know. I think mostly because on the surf, I was able to catch the really small waves, like even the white water, and it would reform right after.
Yeah.
And I think like when you surf foil, because you are already you lay down, so you can put a lot of pressure on your chest.
Yep.
And you control the lift like this. And
yep.
when you pop up, then you can adjust your pressure on your front foot. I think easier, at least for me.
Yeah. No,
and the board sense. And the board is so small, it's easier to control.
Yeah, and less sort of swing weight, doesn't wobble side to side on you.
Yeah. And I realized this right away. Like the first couple waves on the laydown, on the prone, I said, okay, that's it. That's what I want to do. It's much safer. I felt safer also.
I think especially in waves like Sano, where it's kind of peaky out the back, but it reforms really nicely on the inside. That makes total sense. You can paddle in on the reform rather than taking off on the bigger wave out the back.
Yeah.
On the sup, you're taking the drop, whereas on the prone, you're getting the reform and that nice little chip in with less consequence, I guess. You're not getting blown up. Yeah, so that makes sense. Let's fast forward. And so when did you get into the downwinding? Was that over in California or back home in France?
So actually, my friend Eric Terrien, Eric.
Yes. Yeah.
He was doing foiling as well, but in France. Mm-hmm. And same thing, he wanted to do downwind. So he had a couple months in front of me, ahead of me, of doing it. And he was struggling at the beginning, like everybody at this time, I guess. But then when he got the first Maliko Go foil, the blue one, the first blue one,
the flat one, yeah,
it clicked for him. Like right away, he sent me a message. He said, "Hey, okay, now I can do it. I understand." Because at first he said, "I don't know how this works. Like it's impossible. And when you got this foil, it clicked right away, and he said, yeah, it's amazing.
I was exactly the same, because I was trying to downwind on the kai, and it was for me, I'm 82 kilos. It was way too small a foil for me to get up and continue to glide. I got up a couple times, never continued to glide. When I got the Maliko, it was just like straight away, and I was doing most of the run, just complete start to finish, maybe coming down 2 or 3 times, but like I was able to paddle up on that Maliko, original Maliko, which I think was kind of a little bit ahead of its time, because it was flatter.
I think so too. It was a good foil, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
And back. So what I did, but so I bought a set of Go foil, like the Eva, the Maliko 200, and the Maliko 280.
Whoa!
Yeah, right away.
Yeah.
And I had a few attempts, but so at this time I was back to France actually.
Yeah.
So because in France I know all the good place for downwind.
Yeah.
It was easy for me to go, and I have some friends who they do sub downwind, so I was with them, so it was easy for setting up the thing.
Logistics.
Yeah, the logistics. Yeah, exactly. And I think I tried with the. For first I had the 200, the 200.
Yeah.
And it was okay, but I wasn't able to do the full run without touching.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when after I bought the 280.
Yeah.
And with the 280 it was much easier.
Yeah.
I could even do a flat water foil.
Yeah, the Maliko 280 is a massive foil. Like it's huge. A friend of mine has one. I went paddling with him this morning, and as you said, you can, like most people can paddle that up in flat water. There's a really slow lift speed. I don't think many brands make foils that big anymore, but for downwinding, I think it's an awesome foil to start with, because as you say, you can paddle up in flat water. If you have a little bit of breeze behind you, you can paddle up even easier. The only problem is it's pretty slow. Still faster than a surf ski, but for foiling, it's pretty slow.
Yeah, and it's still faster than not getting up.
Oh, way faster than paddling the entire way. That's what I always remind people. I say, look, you want to use this foil because you'll get up, and people say, oh no, it's too slow. It's like, all right, I'll race you. I'll use this, you use yours. And they never get up, and I foil all the way to the end. And it's like, how slow is your foil? They're like, oh, it's fast once I get going. Didn't see you get going.
So, but yeah, it was, I remember it was hard at the beginning, but you go step, like my goal was to fly for a couple minutes without touching.
Yeah.
And I said, and you, like I said to everybody, like at one point you go from a couple minutes then to 1 hour, like without understand what's going on. Like said, okay, now I understand, and that's the way it is. But it's hard to explain sometimes. Yeah,
I agree, and because I do a bunch of coaching online, and with people too, and it's getting over that initial hurdle, getting up and linking a few bumps is really hard to explain and get people there. But once you get over that initial hump, like pretty much everyone's almost the same, as long as, like, say we just learnt and you already started and you're using the 280 or the 200, then I used the 280 and I got on the 200, we'd be pretty similar speed, like once it clicks, just because if you'd foiled for 6 months earlier and I just learnt, we'd almost be the same. It's amazing. Obviously the learning curve is steep, but once you get it, you're up there with everyone else, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So do you remember what was the hardest part for you? I guess paddling up would have been a bit easier using the 280. What about linking? Did you find linking the swells hard, or what were your challenges when you're learning?
Well, first it was getting up on the foil.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time to understand which bump you need to go, and when you missed one, you missed three, and then you're done. So
yeah,
you need to take your time and choose the right bump. So that was the first, I guess, the first hard things, and then linking. Yeah, I don't know exactly. I think, yeah, at the beginning you tend to rush things.
Yeah.
And you tend, sometimes you panic. You're like, okay, I'm gliding. I don't want to stop, but I don't know what to do, and I don't.
Yeah.
So you started panicking, and that's where you do a mistake. It's like, so either you paddle too much and you go up and you're done, or you touch and you cannot go back, or you fall.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard to relax and say, okay, I have time, like stay focused and try to not panic.
Yeah, that's really well put. Like it's, paddling up is, the first hurdle, and then once you're up, it's learning to relax. And once, because you've just paddled up and you're like, I'm up, and you just you just don't do everything in your power to come down, and that usually means paddling too much, pumping too much, and probably going too straight too much. And like you said, take your time. You've got time. Relax, breathe, look left, look right, take the right lines, and once you're up, that's the fun bit. That's the easy part. Relax, enjoy.
Yeah, and also you need to find the good balance with your foot pressure, like with the front foot pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people, they tend to put too much pressure on the back foot.
Yeah.
And it's all about unweighting, like stay as light as possible and as high as possible on the mast, which takes time.
Yeah, it does.
So,
and I think especially when paddling up, I see a lot of people when they have this, they almost have the speed and they slam the back foot and they'll stall and they actually fall backwards, rather than thinking little, bigger, and then up. Think about like up a ladder, one rung at a time, 1, 2, and then just, slowly get bigger and bigger. Whereas if you go from the bottom to the top, you're just going to fall off backwards. So it's,
exactly.
You see that a lot. And the other thing, I guess you'd probably say the same, but once people are up, they pump and they paddle, and they end up going, like, instead of just pumping and paddling and just sort of taking it like the nice lines in between the bumps, they go too straight and run into the one in front, and then they stall, and it's like, no. Then they've got to paddle up again, and it's frustrating, but it's we all go through it. It's like initiation.
Yeah, I think the good part for me was where I live, in France, and even when I did some downwind in Los Angeles area, which I moved. After San Clemente, I moved to Los Angeles, and you have some good downwind there, and it's because it's small bumps, small steep bumps, and where I live, it's exactly this. Like it's like in a bay, like I think it's way easier to learn downwind on those type of condition.
Yeah.
Because if you go outside in the open ocean with a big ground swell, like especially if it's sideways, it can be really, really hard. Even now, like even for experienced foiler, can be sometimes really hard with the big ground swell.
Agreed. Yeah. So tell us about, because I've got a few friends like Matt Costa, who are downwind foiling now over in LA, and a bit north of LA. What run were you doing there, and what foil size were you using, and what sort of speed were the bumps? Because there's a few guys that are saying that it's in some parts in LA not possible, but I'm skeptical.
No, yeah. So when I moved to LA, because I didn't have the choice. My wife found a really good job in LA, so I had to move there, which wasn't my choice, obviously, because it's far. Like it's not far away, but you need to deal with the traffic.
Yes.
Which is like, anyway. And but yeah, I knew like it was windy over there, and the wind was blowing in the good direction, like sideways
Yeah, like cross shore.
to the coast. Yeah. And but in California, because I've been paddling a lot in California with all the surprisers, there is no downwind culture over there. It's not like Maui or like even in France or like Australia. In California, even the OC or the kayak, they don't do downwind. Like they just train. Like think about Danny.
Yeah.
They just train in the morning where it's totally glassy.
Yeah, and then if it's windy, he actually goes out and he paddles into the wind and then comes back downwind.
Yeah, and even not that much. Like they mostly train in the flat water, and I guess that's because there is no wind culture there.
Yeah, I wonder if it's because of the traffic as well. Because if the traffic is so bad, then maybe they don't want to drive.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. But so when I was there, I was looking for people to do downwind with me, but it was hard. So I was doing by myself with sometimes my wife or a friend, like to do the shuttle.
Yeah.
But so I did. So in north of Malibu, you get this point. Leo Carrillo, it's a surf spot. To Zuma Beach.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm
Leo,
in this...
Leo Carrillo is a really good. It's a good point break.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring a map up, and so people can see, because I know there's the LA Foil Club. They listen along to this, and it'll be interesting because you were doing it years ago, and I know there's guys doing it now. So here is the map.
Yeah, I talked to Matt.
Yeah, I bet. You're the pioneer. All right, so where are you starting?
You've got Malibu, so you go north. This is Point Dume. So you go on the left of Point Dume, you get Zuma Beach.
Yeah.
And if you go left again, so north. North. So it's more like this side. Move away. Move.
Am I going?
You've got right there, Leo Carrillo State Beach.
Got it. Yeah.
So the wind is northwest most of the time.
Yeah.
So you go into this little bay, you paddle outside, and you go straight to Zuma Beach.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
And it's really good lined up bumps.
Awesome.
Only you have to be careful because you've got a lot of kelp, like big field kelp.
Yeah, that was my next question, actually. Yeah,
you have to be careful to that.
Yeah, so it's 10 kilometers, which is a pretty nice distance. 6 miles.
Yeah,
and
really it's pretty safe because you are close to the coastline. So if anything happens, you can still paddle to the shore really easy.
Did you ever try this side of the of Point Dume, I guess, towards Malibu?
Not from Point Dume, but I did from. You get another run which is good in Malibu, the Malibu surf spot, Malibu Pier.
Yeah.
To Malibu Pier, to the other state beach. I don't. Sunset Cliff. No, not Sunset Cliff. I don't know the name. But when it's really windy, you've got some nice run over there.
Yeah, because I got a mate who's trying to do one from this area, and I just ask him, why don't you go to the other side? And he's like, oh, it's a little bit too far to drive. To me, if the conditions are good, I'd drive the extra 10 kilometers. But I know LA traffic is something different to anywhere else.
No, it's but but I think it could be in the future. I can see like the downwind side in this area. If all those guys they jump in it, can be a really good good run
potential.
Looks
like
good potential.
Yeah.
So
And then
we'll see.
let's move to France. What runs were you doing over there? And I assume you're in like around Brest. Is that right?
Yeah. Brest city.
Yeah.
You have it's really protected, but the good thing is except east wind, like if it's north wind or south, you got always something to do.
Yeah. So
and the good part is I have a good friend of mine. He's got exactly the same schedule as me. So he worked full time summertime and during the weekend, but on the weekdays it doesn't work just like me. So we have plenty of time to meet and do the shuttle and
perfect. That's the
and
dream.
yeah, so it's good. Yeah,
you need two
because
people.
that's the thing, like the logistic. You need, and it takes time. Like when you do a downwind, it takes at least 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah,
because
true. So what runs are you doing over here in France? Whereabouts are you? I've just typed in.
Right there where you were. Move a little bit. Right there.
Yeah. Okay.
Starting here at this point, and if it's usually the wind is you see the point. This one. Yeah.
This one.
Yeah, this one. So, and usually if the wind is south or southwest, we go down. So it's kind of short. It's like 10K. So you go so south wind is right there. Yeah. We go under the bridge if it's southwest.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So you go even under here. And
if it's more south, we go straight to the beach in front. Yeah. So it depends if it's south or southwest.
Awesome. Oh, cool. And the drive,
those are really.
I guess
and the drive is
not too bad.
No, because there is no traffic.
Yeah, that's the key.
And the drive is no. It's sometimes we do 2 or 3 in a row.
Awesome. Yeah, I was wondering if you started from here, but it wouldn't. The drive would be a horrible drive.
No, but when the wind is west, so we go from Lanvéoc. Lanvéoc is at the back. You see Lanvéoc? Yeah. Go back. Down.
Here. Yeah, yes, I see it.
Yeah, and you go straight to the right to Landévennec. Yeah, to this one.
That's a nice distance.
One, yeah, this one is in winter time when the west wind is really nice. Yeah, it's 15K.
Yeah, easy.
And same thing, really easy, like nice little bumps, like really easy.
What sort of wind strength do you need for these runs? Because I found for our bay runs, we need your bay looks much bigger than us in Sydney, but we need, for the bay runs to be good, it has to be over at least 20 knots, 20 to 30, and over 30 is really good.
Actually, I don't think it depends of the wind.
Tide.
It depends how long the wind has blown before.
Yes. Yeah.
For example, if it just start getting windy, it can be a little bit small. Mm-hmm. But if it's been windy for all the night, then even if the wind goes down a little bit, you still have the bumps and the texture. Mm-hmm. So it's all good. So usually we do if it's 15 knots, but like 10 to 15 knots, we can do it.
Nice. That's awesome. So just the time it's blowing. Yeah. For us, I don't think it's this. Our bays are very tidal, I guess, and I'm sure it is here too. But if it's light wind, you need the tide to be going against it. 10 to 15 knots, and the tide against it's good. 10 to 15 knots tide with it, no good. Yeah. Which is no, it's cool. It's exciting. I love hearing the different runs that people do, because it's like sharing surf spots, but no one cares because they want you to try it.
Yeah, exactly. But the main thing is on those runs, it's slow. So what I realized is you don't need. It doesn't matter if you have a fast foil or like not so fast foil, because it's so slow that you don't like get a really high speed.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, the bay runs, it's so lined up. It's like boom, 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 boom. You just sit in the trough, and you're almost better using like a surfier foil, so you can turn a bit more.
Yeah.
Rather than using a really high aspect like speed race foil, because it just means you're having to probably pump a little bit more or turn a bit, like, you know, have to work harder.
Yeah, exactly. So, but when we go in a more like open area, like with on the coastline,
Yeah, so
yeah, it's different. You can feel like more energy.
Yeah, so what runs do you do on the ocean side?
So if you go north and you see Le Conquet, yeah,
Yes.
go a little bit Le Conquet. So here to so you go down to Portspoder, Landunvez. This is where I live.
Oh,
so you go straight
north or
yeah,
south?
so
Here, I see it here.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, this is a good run that I do a lot.
Yeah,
And
nice
because
distance.
And same thing, it's pretty safe because you have the coastline like pretty close.
How do you find it? Looks like I've been to this area with Benoit. I stayed at his place for a few days.
Yeah, Benoit lives right there. Yeah.
It's a very rocky coastline, lots of cliffs, headlands, and not a lot of beaches. Like, it's lots of rocky, cliffy areas. Do you get lots of backwash, like lots of you know, refraction and rebound?
Yeah.
For learning, that'd be tricky, but I think once you get better, it's super fun. The rebound.
Yeah, because there is a lot of energy.
Lots of energy.
So you really, you can feel like your speed goes really much higher.
Yeah.
And you can use a smaller foil and
like I'd imagine this bit here would be probably pretty backwashy, and then after here would be pretty clean, and then this last bit maybe a little bit messy again. Yeah,
especially at the end you got some outer reef.
Yeah.
So you have to know where you go.
Oh, I bet. So yeah, there's lots of like bommies, just waves breaking everywhere when I was there.
So those runs, they are really good, but unfortunately in winter time there is too much swell.
Yeah,
it's too big. And
so
that's why we usually go to the bay.
Yeah.
But those runs we do it like mostly like in summertime or like fall, because there is less swell.
Yeah.
But
these islands would create some sort of action as well, no doubt. It'd be.
But actually, they protect a little bit from the swell.
Yes, okay.
So which is good, but and this part, it's really it's known for is a strong current. Like it's really dangerous for sailing because you got like strong current.
I remember hearing Martin Latournier, who also lives in Brest or the area, or used to anyway.
Yeah.
He did a run, and he like ran into like the cliff or the headland or something. Do you remember that story?
No, I don't. I usually Too bad Martin is not there right now. He's on a surf trip, but usually we try to go together.
Nice. Yeah, very cool.
But he's still studying, so he doesn't have a lot of free time.
Yeah. You know, he's been studying he's getting the education sorted. Which
he just finished actually.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Nice. He'll be partying.
Yeah, he's done now. So now he's on the surf trip with his girlfriend.
Nice. That's the go.
Nice. For 3 months.
Oh wow, lucky him. So he didn't compete in the extreme.
That's why.
The extreme gliss. So do you want to tell us about this event? Tell us about the event you just participated in, because I'm really interested in how it works.
Yes. So me and my friend Amaury is a well-known stand-up paddler. He's into foiling as well. That's the guy I told you about. That's got same schedule. We do it always together. And he's also known for organizing big races. Yeah. And big stand-up paddle race, downwind usually. He does the best downwind competition. in
he's the
France
same guy,
and even in Europe.
Vonde Gliss, the one where they go out on the boat.
No,
Was that, maybe I'm mixing up the names, but I remember Titouan normally wins it.
yeah,
the good downwind one in France. I assume it's his.
yeah, but actually there are two guys,
Okay.
Happy and Fred. You know Fred Bonnet, guy from Fanatic. Well, anyway, there are like only two guys who can organize a good downwind competition.
Yeah.
And Amaury is one of them. And because we are really close to the French Surfing Federation, we told them that, hey, we want to organize a French championships especially for downwind foiling.
Yeah.
And you know, we are not many of us doing it.
Yeah, how many?
But they said yes. They said yes. They say, go for it. We will support you.
That's awesome.
So yeah. So Amaury, he was in charge of a big Gliss festival, like with kiting and windsurfing.
Mm-hmm.
So he was able to use all the logistic for the downwind foiling part.
Awesome. Yeah.
Which means he had 5 or 6 boats.
And how many foilers?
So we wanted to do like we could have maybe 30 people. We said like 30. Like at first we said like, okay, we can get 50 people.
Mm-hmm.
But we said, well, we won't get 50 people. So, but let's say 50. And we didn't want to have too many beginners because you know, like there is too much gap and it's for safety.
Yes.
So we said, okay, if you want to enter the championship, you need to send us an email with a GPS showing us that you are able to do at least 10K with a 16 kilometers average, which
nice.
means you are able to fly. You can touch, but you are able to go back, and you won't be struggling at the back for hours. And so that was the process.
Mm.
And actually, we had some interesting thing because we have this guy from Tahiti, David Foster,
mm-hmm.
that I met him during this contest, and he sent us a GPS track with 26 kilometers per hour average.
Ooh, moving.
So, this guy, he must be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was really interesting to see those things.
Yeah.
And so that's how it started. And so at the end, we had 17 people signing up.
Nice. That's a good number. Yeah.
And the only bad thing is Titouan Galea, which you had on your show.
I was wondering where he was. He was busy.
He couldn't make it because he's studying, like he studied to be a pilot.
Uh-huh.
And I think he had like really big exam, so he couldn't make it, especially for 5 days.
Yeah.
And you got this other guy, a friend of Titouan, which is super underrated. His name is Tom Constant, and he's really good in downwind foiling as well. Mm-hmm. And he couldn't make it also. Yeah. So those two for me were like probably the best, and they couldn't make it, mm-hmm. which was unfortunate. But but at least Clément Colmas was there. Yeah. And then
I would say Clément and Titouan would be pretty close. You know,
and Tom, like those 3 guys, they would have been neck and neck.
Yeah, for sure. A good race. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been interesting because I know Tom and Titouan, they are really good with their equipment. Like they are so far ahead of everybody. Mm-hmm. Like it's amazing. Like they use like really tiny high aspect foil. Yeah, like 850 centimeter.
The downwind. Whew.
Yeah, downwind, like, and they go really fast. I did a race with them last year, the Vendée Gliss. Yeah, and I ended up 3rd place, and they ended up like Titouan 1 and Tom got 2. but they put me on the 20K. They put me 20 minutes
Wow.
gap.
So what sort of
and
average?
I was flying the whole way. Like means I didn't stop.
Didn't make a
But
mistake.
they were flying like super fast. But because it was like an open ocean downwind, with a fast moving swell, so they were able to take advantage of their fast gear.
Yeah. It's just paddling up on the small gear is tricky, isn't it? Well, if you can get up, it's doable. But
that's the tricky part.
Yeah.
Nah, but they do like those guys. They do a lot of downwind, like where they live in Mediterranean. They do like they have run like they have a 40-50K run. So sometimes they can do like 3 of those in 1 week, which means like 150 kilometers. It's so they've got like way more practice than anybody, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they weren't there, but Clément was there, and you had also all those best stand-up paddler racer like Tom Aubert. But Titouan Pouillot.
And I saw he got second in the first race.
Yeah,
which was like, I think Clement messaged me. He's like, I can't believe it. T2 came second.
But if you want, I can talk about it. It was
tell me. Start with the first race.
It was really interesting because we understood a lot of things. At least I did. Like the first race, it was we didn't know if we could run the race because the forecast was showing like 10 to 15 knots. But with a ground swell, and it was a kind of a mix between a bay and open ocean downwind.
Okay. Let's bring the map up again, and we'll see if let's have a look at it because I'm really curious. So where in France are we?
So you go Crozon. You see Crozon, right in the
the middle.
I see it.
Yeah,
Crozon. From Crozon, you go to the point. You go down to the point. Yep, right there. So we started right there with a boat, and the wind was west. So we went straight to the beach in front.
Nice. So like this.
It was 18. A little. Pretty much. 18 kilometers. So the good part is we started with good energy because the swell goes from outside. And actually the wind was more like 15 than 10. So it was good enough to go. And for this run, the start was actually almost everybody got up really fast. And then you could feel like the energy. It was kind of an easy run. Even if the wind wasn't really strong, you could feel the energy, and everybody was up and gliding. But for me, the difference, that's why I realized, it's the fastest guys, they went straight and they paddled and pumped a lot. Like it was like me, I was still in my
surf mode
downwind. And I thought I would make the difference by just gliding and not foiling. But those guys, they were like hammering, like they were boom, 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 and going like really, really fast.
And straight, like up and over swells, like sort of.
Because they have a good cardio. You know, those guys, they train a lot. So for them, it's no problem. And they have good balance and good skills. So they are young and really fit, and they didn't do any mistakes. They just went. And so the time, I don't know, 1 hour or something. So it was good. I think Clément, he had an average speed of 20.2. That's what he said.
I spoke to him, and he was using a Takuma Kajira 980.
980,
which
is small.
It's small, right? And so I said to him, and he said the conditions were light, and I said I would have thought, like, what I found is, generally speaking, if I go too small a foil, I will go slower. because I have to pump more.
Yeah.
And then, but if I use a foil that's a little bit bigger in those same conditions, I'll go faster because I'm like, it's like the foil's maxed out the entire time. Whereas if I use a foil that's too small, even if I pump and paddle, I go slower because it's harder to keep the speed up. And like, I guess I'm 82 kilos, which is heavy for, most guys foiling, at least the guys sup racing. Like Clement, I'm like, how'd you get up on that? And he's like, I averaged 20.2. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty slow for that size foil. You'd expect if you use such a small foil, you'd go faster. But yeah, interesting. And then second, so Clement won the first one, and then what was it like? I heard it was a pretty tight race for the
So it was. So it was interesting to see, like Titouan, he uses NSP 1400 centimeter
pretty big
foil, so bigger foil. Olivia Piana, same thing. She had Axis, same thing, around 1500. So big foil, especially for her, because she's lightweight.
Yeah.
And the other guys were using mostly Takuma 980 or the 12.
Yeah.
So it was all about the starting. Like if you miss the first bump right at the start, so then it takes like maybe 20 seconds to get up.
Mm-hmm.
You raise your head, you look, and those guys are just flying. So, and then because it's not really fast, it's hard to get back unless somebody falls. But there weren't so many mistakes like that.
Yeah.
Like, some guys tried to go faster, and they failed. But like the best guys, they didn't fall at all.
Yeah, I'm wondering moving forward, like with more of these foil races, whether that sort of start line is the best scenario. I remember I was chatting to Jacko. He was saying, for a downwind race, he thought the best idea was you put two markers in place and you say at 12 o'clock, the race starts, and you can either start on the start line, you've got to be behind it, or you can start foiling behind. So when it gets to 11:58, you could be, a couple 100 meters upwind, and you go, okay, I'm going to start to try to get up. And then once the horn goes, you could almost be starting foiling, but if you timed it perfectly, you could cross the line. But if you were a little bit late and you're already foiling, maybe that could be better. So I liked the idea that if you could start the race and not have it rely on, the first 10 seconds and the positioning to get a bump, rather than, give yourself, this is when the race starts, no matter what. And if everyone's up and foiling, then great. If no one's up and foiling, great. You can start a kilometer back, you can start on the line. You just can't start downwind of the line. So I thought that was a cool idea, but it sounds like, obviously, like you said, it was so critical to get going initially. Literally the race was over if you missed the first bump.
Yes, that's exactly, especially on the short run.
Yeah.
Like under 50K, it's hard to come back.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We have to think about those. Maybe it's, this is a good idea.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, either we decide, okay, getting up is part of the sport, and you need to be quick.
Yeah.
Or you can think about a way to let at least people get up, to have time to get up and to cross the line.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Just like, I'm not saying one's right or the other, but I thought it was a cool idea from Jacko.
I think so. I think we should try someday, because it's too bad, because like missing a bump at the start can happen just like that. Like, so.
And it's almost it's out of your control. It's more like if sometimes the person right next to me, like a meter, like I'll be paddling up with a friend, okay, we're going to go now, and they'll get going, and then I'll have to wait 2 or 3 or 4 bumps to get going, and then all of a sudden they're, you know, almost 250 meters in front, and it's like, okay, I got to catch them. You know.
Yeah. So
it's pretty rare that unless you're using bigger foils, it's hard to catch the same, to get going at the exact same time, unless you really force it
at the same time. Yeah. No, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why sometimes it's hard to know where you are at, even if you go with your friend, to see if you have am I really fast, or if you don't, of course you have your GPS watch to check.
Yeah.
But when it's better when you have somebody with you, and so you can really compare.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to get up at the same time, and so I guess that's part of the difficult. Difficult thing. Like
what I do with Zane is I normally, if I get up before him, I'll usually try to just like stall, you know, go hard,
slow down,
left,
and
hard right, hard left, and then like way out to sea, and then come in. Okay, we go now, and then we start racing. But like it's
exactly,
as you say, it's rare that you get up at the exact same time on the exact same bump. Even in a surf break, it's hard to time the same wave and peeling off together. It's tricky. So
it's tricky, but you know, it was at the end, all the best guy ended up like starting really, really quick.
Yeah.
But not always, actually. Clément did no mistakes at all.
Yeah.
Even sometimes he was actually on the couple race, he was gaining up a little bit behind somebody. But then he was like, he was going so fast that he was like really unbeatable. But for example, the guy who finished second, Alex Vickrel, is you know him?
Yeah,
maybe
I know Alex.
Him.
I've in Maui, I've done some runs with him.
He's really good. I think on the fourth race, on the third race, he missed because he chose another board to try, a smaller board. He missed his start, and he finished like 8th place or something like that.
Wow. Yeah.
So other than that, he finished almost. He finished second overall. So But the good part is because we had.
It must have been close between second and 8th. You know, if just the start stuffed him up for the rest of that race. Yeah,
especially because this race was only 7 kilometers. On this one, we didn't have the choice. It was really short. It was like pretty much it was a sprint. Yeah. It was 25 minutes.
That's full-on sprint.
Close, but it's hard to make. If you start too late, it's over. Yeah, it's done. Yeah. So unless somebody falls bad. Yeah, that's in a race. No falling. No, because it was really easy bumps. Bump, easy to read, easy to surf. So not so many mistakes.
I actually spoke to Boris, and I think he was one of the slower guys there. And he said, he messaged me and said, he's like, there's no way I can't keep up with these guys on the foil I'm using. And I think he was using the Axis 1150, which it's a big foil.
Yeah. But it's a good one to learn.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome to learn.
Boris was really happy because it was his first time doing like 10 more than 10K without stopping.
There you go. Yeah, that's what I love about the event, that you had lots of different people doing this downwind event, and you kind of learn what equipment is good, what technique, to go fast is best, and can surfing keep up with just pumping up and over. For this run seems like no, for other runs hopefully. But
you could see Boris at the end. He was maybe last, but he was so happy. He had a big smile, and he was like so happy to.
He probably had the most fun. He was surfing the most.
Yeah, and for me the challenge is of course you want to do good, but for me the challenge is always to have a quick start and then no fall.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when you just do that, you are still happy with yourself because
Yeah.
okay, no mistakes.
Yeah.
And then you work on your speed, but it's
Yeah,
another,
work on that. Yeah, that's very cool. And then so 18 kilometers was the longest. 7 kilometers
18,
was the shortest.
then 18. So 18 the first one. The second one it was a 14, but it was even lighter, like really light wind.
Yeah.
And it was good to show that we could do a downwind on the 10 to 14 knots.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And it wasn't that hard. It was slow, and you had to
work a bit harder.
To choose the And then the third race was 7 kilometers. Then the fourth race was 7 kilometers. It was the same, exactly the same. We did like 2 in a row.
Yeah.
And the last one was 15, but it was starting in really open ocean water, like with really big swell.
Yeah.
And finishing in the harbor with nice easy bump. So
yeah.
it was. So we had a little bit of everything.
Sounds like a good mix. Yeah.
And it was a good mix. And so we had 5 races, and we said, okay, you have a discard. So if you miss one race, you can. Yeah, exactly. So at least you had one. You have a little bit of room for your throwaway. Exactly. So
yeah, I really.
So at the end, I think it worked. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like it. I'm very jealous. I should talk to Surfing Australia and see if they can run a downwind foil event for.
And the logistics, like having the boat to bring us outside, and that's like something we don't see.
I know. Yeah, you guys have it sorted in France. So cool. The other thing I wanted to mention, because I spoke to Clement, and I want to try to get him on the podcast, but he thinks his English isn't good enough. But I'll keep hassling him. I don't know. Yeah. The fact he kept using the 980, even like 10 to 14 knots, man, that's pretty impressive. Like that's a small foil. I guess sounds like the bumps were pretty good, but like to get started, the bumps were decent, right? But that's interesting to me that he was using such a small foil the entire time. Normally, I'm using the new RS 1150 most of the time now, whether it's light or not. I've used the RS 1000, which is square centimeters size. And the 1000 for me is, I feel like it has to be pretty windy. But the fact Clement's using the 980, I'm like, okay, maybe I should just man up and use the 1000 more.
Well, you have to know that Clement, you know Clement.
Yeah.
He lives in his car, in his his foil actually pretty beat up, like and actually he forgot to bring a 120 his 12.
That's what
he said. Got a bigger foil, but he forgot. Yeah, so he said, okay, I'm just gonna do it with the 980.
980. Yeah. It would have been interesting. Would have been interesting if Titouan was there and Tom, because maybe he would have had a bit more of a push, and maybe he would have been better on the bigger foil. Is what I was curious to know.
I'm curious too, but I think for sure Titouan he's got a faster foil for sure. Yeah. But would that make the difference on those conditions? I don't know. Yeah. That's the big question, actually.
Yeah. And how did the Tahitian guy go?
Alex, I felt really sorry for David, because he's kind of a big guy. He's like 95 kilos.
Okay, big guy.
And he's not used to wear wetsuit, because it was so cold compared to Tahiti. He had to wear a full wetsuit.
Yeah.
So he had also a new board. So he was struggling. Like he was like, I think it took like forever to get up, like maybe 20 minutes.
Bugger.
The boat has to wait for him. But once he was up, he was flying.
Yeah.
And actually, I did a downwind with him because he went 1 week before the event to train with me.
Yeah.
And we did one in the bay. He wasn't like really fast. He was struggling a little bit because it's just too heavy. but then we did a run in open ocean. That's why I asked you the question last time about a bigger foil.
Yeah.
And he smoked me. Like
Well,
he was going so fast. I had a small foil, and my average speed was 19 kilometers per hour.
Yeah.
And his average speed was 21.
Yeah. Wow. On the same run, same day.
On the same run, same day.
Yeah.
And the only difference is I was able to get earlier than him. But other than that, he was like on the bumps, because he was big bumps, and he was able to go like not straight, a little bit angled, but still between straight and angle. Not too much surfing, but he was like really impressive.
Yeah, and you asked about Dave Kalama, because I did a key run with Dave, and he struggled to get going at the beginning, and I was doing circles around him waiting for him. And then once he got going, he sort of, when the bumps were small, I was still sort of waiting for him. And then all of a sudden, the bumps got bigger, and like straight away he was gone. Like he was waiting for me at the end, and he was just like, how are you going so fast? I think we were using the exact same foils, and he's tuned his stuff. He's pretty tuned in now, but like, I was like, I'm not waiting for you next time, because you'll just catch me.
So looks like those bigger guys, they can really make a bigger foil work really, really fast.
Yeah, for sure. It seems that way.
That's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And David, he's really good. He's really good, but like we said, like the start, maybe we need to work on the start to see who is the fastest flying.
Exactly.
Because not just all about like getting up.
Yeah, because that's always going to favor the lighter guys, I think.
Yeah. Maybe on the long run, like the Molokai, it doesn't. It evens out. It's not the same, because it's a 50 plus K. But on the small run, like under 20K, I think maybe it would be nice to think about another way to start.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but we need to find the best solution. Yeah, like you said, maybe it's a good idea.
Yeah, if you have
maybe next one we'll try.
Yeah, have a line and just okay, anyone
timing.
And if you are in front of the line, disqualified. So it means everyone will probably start behind the line, and I think it could be maybe it's a solution, maybe it won't work, but worth trying, I think. And it sounds like you guys are the ones to do it. With all the boats. Yeah, epic. So we're going to start wrapping up, but I want to talk to you about 52 Foil Co, which I know is your little sort of side project. Do you want to give the listeners and viewers a bit of insight into, I guess, to me, what really drew my attention was your downwind specific foil board.
Yes, well, I started designing a board. I'm not a shaper. I don't know how to shape a board like with my hands, but because of all my surfing experience and my racing experience, I know exactly what I want, what I'm looking for. And so I decided to do it myself, to design the board and find somebody to build it. And that's how I studied the 52 foil board in California with Damien Bronner, which is a well-known shaper over there. And so now I'm keep doing it. And I like to do I like to make what I like to do, if you know what I mean. Like I'm all about surf foiling. So I like to make a nice surf foiling and downwind. But I do also some wing, but I'm not really into winging. So it's not, and you have also a lot of wing board in the market, but board dedicated to foiling, we don't find those. Like not really much. Like maybe Sunova is starting to do some.
I spoke to the team at Sonova, and originally I wanted it to be a downwind shape, but they're like, well, how many people are downwind SUP foiling? And we said, okay, we'll make it more of an all-round kind of shape. And we, compromised, I think, The one I would normally use is either 510 by 26 or 60 by 27. And for me, I've got a custom, which is 60 by 24. It sounds like you've gone a bit shorter and narrower, which is cool.
So yeah, at the beginning I was like really short, like 5'5", and I thought it was like too short.
Yeah.
So then I realized we need like longer, but like much narrow. And now my board is 5'7" by 22.5 at 90 liters.
Cool, it's thick then, huh?
And yeah, it's thick, but you know, you got some
recessed. Yeah.
And so the nose is a little bit like on the race board, like it's got some big nose.
Yeah.
But then under your feet, especially front foot, it's not that thick. So it's kind of thinner under the front foot.
Yeah.
And you get a big rail.
Yeah.
And you get like a really straight outline.
Yeah.
And it makes the board really narrow, but like really stable.
Stable. Yeah, which is, that's the trick. For sure.
That's what you want. You want as narrow as possible. It makes a big difference to get up really early. And then flying, also narrow board is much more lively and easier to turn and to control.
Yeah. So for me personally, I found the shortest board I've downwind foiled is 5'10", or or paddled up on a sup is 5'10", and that was around, I think it was 24.5 wide. And I found the 5'10" much harder to get up than the 60, but maybe it was the width. Maybe we went too wide and too thin rather than going narrow and thick. So that really interests me, the shortness but narrowness but still stable. That's I like that.
And also it depends, like on the easy downwind, like with small steep bumps. I think like a shorter board will work really fine.
Yeah.
But on the open ocean downwind, I think you need a little bit longer board. I think my next board will be actually 5'10" or maybe 6'0".
Yeah.
But really narrow, like 22.
Uh-huh.
But I think I need maybe a longer board for like those open ocean downwind.
Yeah,
because you get a lot of moving water, and I think you need a little bit more length.
Yeah, that's what I found, because most of the runs I do are open ocean, and even just going down to 5'10", I felt a difference to the 6'0", which and then when I heard you using a 5'6", 5'7", I'm like, man, he must be paddling up really well. But then I saw how narrow it was, and I was like, that's the trick. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for you, with your experience in and your balance, you can go much narrow.
Yeah, and I think it's the thickness is our boards are still quite, the rails are probably like this, whereas your rails probably bigger.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so just the volume, like I'm on a 79 liter board, 6 by 24, 79 liters. So it's not a lot of volume for the outline compared to, like, I'm longer and wider, but less liters. So it's I'll have to get Marcus on it. Tell him to make me something smaller and thicker.
Oh yeah, you will. Yeah.
I'll put him to work.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey Greg, thanks so much for coming on. I just wanted to, normally I try to finish up with 3 tips for people that are learning. So if you've got something, I think I'd probably say something about boards, because I think the width of a board makes a big difference.
Yeah, but first, because I have a lot of people asking, first you need to learn how to paddle, because a lot of people, they want to do it, but they don't have the paddling background.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, first you need to learn how to paddle, because if you don't have the proper technique, you won't do anything.
Yeah, agreed.
So first you need to know how to use a paddle, and you need to be able to paddle straight with using one side. That's really important.
Yeah.
So you need to learn how to paddle with an angle. So that's the first thing. And in the surf stance, you need to paddle one side, surf stance. That's the basic. Then you need gear. You need a big foil. Obviously, you need like like the biggest in the market you can find.
Yeah,
Even
Maliko.
if it's low, even if you want to use it for a long time, Maliko 280, and you get the Takuma LOL 190. You get the Axis. You get
There's lots of big foils out there. Yeah.
But, yeah, and those are really cheap now because you can find used on the Craigslist or
exactly.
So I think it's
and I think as downwind foiling gets more popular, you'll be able to move them on too.
Yeah. And you need also mast length. It doesn't have to be too long. Like I think 80, 85 is way too long for when you start doing like 70 or 75, but no more. Because the longer it is, the harder it is to get up. So you need like 65 or 70, something like that, I think. Then you need a board. You need a board you have a good balance on it, but you don't want like too wide.
Yeah.
Like it's better to go longer and narrow than go shorter, wider.
Yes. Agreed. Yeah, and I think that point before that was something you're comfortable on, and then your balance is good on. I see so many people go on a board that's way too small. They're like, oh, this sup thing is so hard. It's like, one, you don't know how to paddle. Two, the board is like way too advanced. And three, you put no time in. So it's, I think it's very doable with the right equipment and the right advice.
Yeah, I think you need to, don't give up. Just practice. Right now, Boris and Amandine. Amandine is really into it.
Yeah.
And she can do it, but she's not at the point she can do like a 10K without stopping. They said, hey, you are almost there for sure.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'll get it.
Don't give up.
Yeah.
Because then it's really good.
Yeah.
So yeah,
awesome. Some great tips and great to catch up with you, Greg. I'll be in touch, and thanks for the insight on some of the racing over there and sharing all your knowledge. So cheers.